don't make any notes because everything is given in your slides, and listen please. Very short time, I will explain you a big bulk of the information. Now pay attention to it. Last time that I discussed the layers of anterior wall with you in Monday, I told you that muscular layer, by the way, that is layer number 5 in the anterior wall, yeah? First one is skin, second is fat, third is superficial fascia, fourth is proper fascia, which is very bad developed. So usually we don't describe it because it's not notified structure during the surgeries. But finally, layer number 5, it is muscles. And if you remember my lecture, I say you that, and if you remember anatomy, of course, because you studied in anatomy, there are arrangement of these muscles into 2 groups. In the lateral side, we have oblique muscles. In the medial side, we have straight muscles, which is 2. It is the rectus one, which you see now in the cross section, that one. And that is the pyramidal muscle, which you can find, for example, in this picture. That is the pyramidal muscle, which is immediately in front of the rectus. By the way, unique muscle, because it is fused with the bone only in the lower point. Upwards, it is fused by the white line of the abdomen, below the umbilicus. And what is the function of this muscle? It is tension of the white line. Then it's constricted, it tends the white line and make it more narrow. Then it make it more narrow, it is prevent the protrusions of internal structures from inside, means that is against the formation of the hernias. Remember about it, by the way, approximately in 20% of the human population it goes up. So we can live without this muscle. Now let's continue. Now what do you remember from your anatomy about the rectus? For example, what is the origin points and what the insertional places of the rectus? I don't say try to read, I say will I have the happiness to have the conversation with you? Okay, I understand that nothing. Now look to me, it is originated from the pubic bones. By the way, both structural units which we have, symphysis and tubercle. Muscular fibers strongly vertically pass from downwards to upwards, and they come up to the level of the thorax. Until the level of the 5th rib, in front of the thoracic wall, we have the fibers of the rectus muscle. So finally, it is reached the level of the 5th rib and touched the cartilages of it. Because as you understand, here in the anterior part, we have the cartilages of the ribs. By the way, cartilages from 7 to the 10 involves information of the costal arches, which is 2, right and left. 11 and 12, as you remember, is fluctuated ribs. It doesn't fuse with the sternum. So remember about it. So once again, origin, it is the pubic bone. Insertion, it is the thorax. And immediately up to the level. If you will look attentively in this picture, you will see that there are some tendons inside of the muscle. We call it intersection tendons. These intersection tendons, usually as you can see 3 or 4, they divide the muscle into several portions. For what it is necessary, guys? For the autonomical work of the different portions. I think if you go to the gym, you listen to the term is inferior press, superior press. So we can make some manipulations to develop inferior press, which is below your umbilicus, and superior. Why? Because this muscle can constrict it not only commonly, but portionally. Let's say, remember, please, division of this muscle into the portions is necessary for autonomic work of the different parts of this muscle. We can tense more upper portion, we can tense more lower portion, or we can tense totally all the muscle. That is important for different physical activities. Is it understandable for you? Very well. If you understand it now, let's speak about the special aponeurotical capsule or sheet of the rectus muscle. I think from anatomy you remember that it forms not by proper fascia, but by aponeurosis of oblique muscles. If you remember my previous lecture, I told you that all oblique muscles near the lateral margin of the rectum change their fibers from muscular to aponeurotical. They become to aponeurosis. All of them, and external, and internal, and transverse. And aponeurosis of these 3 oblique muscles including the rectum inside that forms the capsule for the rectum muscle. By the way, this capsule has different structure above umbilicus and below umbilicus. You can see I show in the pictures two cross sections. Upper cross section show the structure of the sheet above the level of umbilicus. Lower cross section show the structure of the sheet below. By the way, real border between these two structural types, it's not the umbilicus, but it is the point which is located approximately 4-5 centimeters below umbilicus. We just simplified it and call above and below the umbilicus, but the real, look to me, border place is approximately here. You can see from umbilicus I measure approximately 4 centimeters down. Say up to this we have one type, below this we have second type of the rectus sheath. And let's describe now how it is formed above and below. Now look in the picture. Laterally, as you can see, there are 3 oblique muscles, and approximately near margin of the lateral rectus, they become to the white. It means they become to the aponeurosis. Here it is red, here it is white. But by the way, place of the passage of these oblique muscles into the aponeurosis located approximately 1 centimeter laterally to the lateral margin of the rectum, here. And this line, which is passed along of all lateral margin of the rectum, we call Spiegel line, or we call it semi-lunar line, because it has healthy round form, semi-lunar form. As I remember, please, once again, in the level of Spiegel or semi-lunar line, little bit laterally to the lateral margin of the rectus, all oblique muscles become to aponeurosis. Now, what is happening above umbilicus? We need attention into the picture. As you can see, aponeurosis of external oblique cover the rectus from in front. Aponeurosis of internal oblique is greatly visible, split it into 2 layers. One is cover rectus from in front, second cover it from behind. And finally, aponeurosis of transverse one, as you can see in the picture, cover the rectus muscle from behind. What we have finally, 4 layers inside of the sheet. 2 forms anterior wall, 2 forms posterior wall. So anterior wall will be from external oblique aponeurosis and superficial layer of internal aponeurosis. Posterior one will be from deep layer of internal aponeurosis and transverse aponeurosis. So finally, remember please, 4 layers, 2 in front and 2 behind of the rectus muscle. Now attract please your attention into cross sections below that level which I mentioned, 4 centimeter below umbilicus. What do you see here? Again, all these 3 muscles near the Spiegel line become to aponeurosis. And what is shown here, all these aponeuroses guys pass in front of the rectus muscle. No one didn't goes back. You can go to the washroom, friend, if it is necessary. By the way, if you have infections, I strongly recommend it to wear the masks. I think even it is funny to speak about it with the medical university students. 1 minute, look to me. Let's say once again, external oblique aponeurosis, internal oblique aponeurosis, by the way, without any division as upwards. It forms just 1 layer. And transverse muscle aponeurosis all pass in front of the rectus muscle. What is located behind of the rectus? Minutes before I told you that the muscles forms the 5th layer of anterior wall, but there are another layers also. Under the muscles, deep to the muscles, we have layer number 6, which we call deep layer of proper fascia. Otherwise, it has 3 names. We call it endo-abdominal fascia. Why endo-abdominal? Hold your hands like this. Now, her hand and my hand border anterior wall, border the abdominal cavity. She is anterior wall and posterior wall. Posterior wall is called lumbar region. Now, all our walls, anterior and posterior, from inside covered by this deep layer of proper fascia, which is called endo-abdominal fascia. Meaning attention. part of this fascia which is covered our friend, we call transverse fascia. Why? Because her deepest layer, it is transverse muscle. It's a part of her white cord which is covered this transverse muscle. Thank you very much. We call transverse fascia. So remember, please, transverse fascia is just part of endoabdominal fascia, which is covered inner surface of transverse muscle. Is it understandable? Brilliant. Again, look in the picture. Where is this transverse fascia? Immediately behind of the rectus muscle, because below umbilicus, as you can see, behind of rectus, we don't have any aponeurosis. All aponeuroses pass in front. The posterior wall of the sheath, all forms by transverse fascia. That's like below umbilicus, aponeurotical structure has only interior wall of the sheath. Posterior wall of it has facial structure. So let's make small review. Again, rectus has the aponeurotical sheath, which is formed by the aponeurosis of oblique muscles. Oblique muscles is three. It is external, internal, transverse. Above umbilicus, 2 and 2 division of aponeurosis is happened. 2 layers located in front of the rectus, 2 is located back. Why it's happened? Because internal aponeurosis split it into 2 layers. So instead of 3 aponeuroses, we have 4 aponeuroses. Below umbilicus situation is absolutely another. All 3 aponeuroses without any division pass in front of the rectus muscle. So behind of the rectus muscle, we have transverse fascia. Now attract your attention into this structural unit. Much more better to show this structural unit in the frontal pictures. And you can see that between right and left rectus muscles, there are some white aponeurotical structure, which we call linea alba abdominis. Now, we need attention again to the cross section. As you can see in these cross sections, this linea alba has different structure above and below umbilicus. What is different? Above umbilicus, white line, located and in front, and between, and behind of the muscles. Why? Because of the arrangement of the aponeurosis. She is rectus muscle. What is your name? Mirza located in front of the rectus. I am located behind. Mirza, it is first 2 layers of aponeurosis. I am last 2 layers of aponeurosis. Now, she is right rectus muscle. She is left rectus muscles. Now, if by Mirza, please raise your hand. If by a Mirza we will connect our hands to each other between them, it will be rectus muscle, it will be white line above the umbilicus. So you can see that partly our hands located in front of these rectus muscles, partly they located between these rectus muscles, partly they located behind of these rectus muscles. Which conclusions we can do? Again, look to me and Mirza. Our white line absolutely separated the sheets of right and left rectus muscles from each other. Thank you very much. Let's say once again, this is the structure of the white line above umbilicus. Can I say the same below? Of course no, because I will be absent below umbilicus, because behind of rectus muscles, we don't have aponeurosis. Only Mirza will form this white line, and she will be totally in front of these muscles, not between and not behind. And what will be happen? I will be now transverse fascia, yeah, because I forms only the posterior wall, yeah. And you can see that in front of me, these 2 sheets will have the communication to each other. No any border. No any border. Do you understand or not? Let's imagine that inside of one from these both capsules, there are pus. Below umbilicus, it can simply pass from right to left and vice versa. Can I say same above umbilicus? Of course not. As I showed with Mirza 2 minutes before, there are the wall border septa, which is split above umbilicus, these 2 muscles from each other. Do you understand me or not? By the way, physical sizes of white line also differs above and below. Above umbilicus, it is very wide. below umbilicus it is very thin. Due to this, it is much more weaker above than below umbilicus. Because guys, this is really weak, please. Can you prove me that the white line is weak?
Because it is like compared to other structure.
Because it doesn't have muscular layer. If you will look, remember what I told you in my first meeting with you that we discussed the femoral hernias. I told you that weak place, it is part of the body without cylinders. If part of the body doesn't mean without. For example, she is one region and she is surrounded with another regions. All another regions contain muscles she knows. Let's say you can say is it weak or not only if you compare it with me with the parts. Without this comparison, it's impossible to say is it weak or not. White line is much more weaker than right or left located regions because right we have right rectus, left we have left rectus, but in the region of the white line, sorry, you don't have any muscles. And I told you again previously that muscles is much more stronger against any protrusions because they have elasticity. Aponeurotical fibers, if you will be, for example, aponeurose, and if I will press you, you will be split. Distance, which now we have between our friends, will be large. And I can simply pass between them towards them. What will be happen if they will be muscles? What will be happen? They will be dilated, first of all, due to my pressure. Then the pressure will be removed, they will be constricted. They will come to the normal place. I will not have any artificial fissuras because it's very hard to split the muscle, but it's very easy to split the aponeurose. Do you understand me or not? In your opinion, which part of the white line will be the weakest one? I don't listen to your friends. Sorry? Above the umbilicus? No. No. Why you are so non-attentive, friends? Look in this picture. Which part of white line will be the most weak?
The level of umbilicus. The level of umbilicus.
Of course, umbilical ring. Why umbilical ring is the weakest part? It's located in the white line, yeah? Friends, do you see yourself in the mirror? I think you imagine where is located your umbilicus. It's located strongly by midline of your abdomen. By midline of abdomen, at the same time, we have white line. So white line approximately by umbilicus divided into two equal parts, upper and lower. Umbilicus, it is midpoint of your white line. Now tell me please, why it is much more weaker than upper or lower portions of the white line?
Because it's a scar.
Because it is scar means what will be absent here?
The skin and the subcutaneous.
Really? Really? You have the wound in the region of the belly button? Are you sure? So you don't have the skin here? Really? Your inner structures is open here?
All the layers are fused.
You don't have fatty tissue. You don't have superficial fissure because it is fused in the scar. And you don't have, of course, the preperitoneal loose connective tissue, which is also called Langenbeck space. You don't have it. So remember, please, this mentioned layer is absent in the umbilical ring. Sorry, any absent layer make the region weaker. Or you think that if the fat will be here absent, it will more protect this region against the protrusion. It's funny. Why it's happened? Because we lose our umbilical cord. Then we lose our umbilical cord in this region, scar is formed. Means if she last layer, layer number 8, by the way, how we call her? Parietal layer of peritoneum. By parietal layer of peritoneum, wall is finished, cavity starts. Now what is located after the muscles up to our friend? Transverse fissure, which is layer 6. Then loose connective tissue, which is between transverse fascia and parietal peritoneum. We call it preperitoneal fat, or by author we call it Langenbeck fat. And finally, she is the eighth layer, which is called the parietal layer of peritoneum. Now, what is happened? Now, imagine that she is the parietal layer of peritoneum. I am the skin. The umbilical cord will be loose. All the layers between us will be joined to each other because the skull will be closed. And primarily, all fats will be closed. I think it's so simple, friends. Now you understand why umbilical ring is second weakest place of human body. First, I represented in my lecture. It is inguinal space. As you remember, I told you that two big muscles, internal oblique and transverse, doesn't reach the inferior 2/3 of the inguinal ligament. And the space, yeah, you are absolutely right. Space is formed, which we call inguinal space. Otherwise, it is the space between roof and between floor of inguinal channel. If I will add two nether walls, anterior and posterior, space will become to the channel. From in front, I will have external oblique nevrose. From behind, I will have transverse fascia, because behind of transverse muscle, which is for my roof, I have transverse fascia. So remember, please, this is the weak. By the way, Spiegel line also is weak. Because if you will look now for this picture, you will see that in region of the Spiegel line, again, we don't have any red structures. Is it so weak like white line? No, because it's not so wide. But is it weak? Yes. One more weak place we have located horizontally, arcuately. It is so-called arcuate or Douglas line. It is located immediately 4 centimeters below umbilicus in the posterior wall of the rectum. Why? Because in this place, the structure of the rectum sheath is changed. Above this line, it has 4 layers. Below this line, it has 2 layers. And in the border between these 2 types, we have weakness. Because we don't have so many aponevroses. Is it understandable for you guys? It's so simple. That is what I want to give you. By the way, if you will compare the hernias, which is originated in white line above and below umbilicus, you will see that generally below umbilicus we don't have hernias because it's very thin, as I say. White line length above umbilicus 1-2 centimeters. White line length below umbilicus 1-2 millimeters. It's 10 times smaller. That's of course, rule is simple. The more big is weak place, the more is chance of formation of the hernias, and vice versa. If the weak place is small, the chance of formation of the hernias is not so big. Hello.